Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. Today is Tuesday, August the 14th. It was another kind of nondescript day where we spent the majority of the day in this trading range, and finally broke lower, and you can kind of, here's the first measurement of the first range, and then the second one you can see was kind of the same. We broke a little bit lower but failed, and then it's just right before the close. So whether or not we'll get back into this upper part of the range, it's hard to say. But I've showed you this several times before. But once you break out, if you're in a range and once you break out of it, here's how you can find a great target. Oh, let me get rid of this. But you see, there's the width of the range, and then if you just come down the bottom and measure it, there's your perfect measured move, and that's kind of how it works. And so that should have been, once we broke lower here, that should have been pretty much your target. And there were actually a couple of entries here. I didn't mark these. Let me just go ahead and mark them. I should have at least marked this one probably, but this one's also a little suspect, and we'll talk about why. But the main thing was we failed out the top side of the little range there. And let me show you this too. We really had, this was kind of the lows early on. So we really had two ranges going across there on the bigger range. And if you measure this range, how much you want to bet that it looks just like that range? And so you can see there that, once you recognize a range like we had right here and we break lower, then your target for this little move here should have been about the same. And let me show you this too. This we broke above this high right here, and we were really just coming back to test that, and we tested it once, twice, three times, four times before prices finally were able to break through. So that was fairly strong support. So that's what makes this trade a little suspect, because there's not a lot of room to scalp out before you get down to here. Notice I didn't mark any trades in here. And the main reason being is that there's just not enough room really to scalp out before you hit these lows again, and they've been holding, so it's risky. And you see what happened every time we came down here. So unless you're selling blindly here or buying blindly here, you got to stay out of this little tight range like this, because there's not enough room in there. So hopefully that makes sense. Makes sense to you, and you can see that. But let's go back to the trades. We had this was a failed second entry long. That was a long trap, and it turned down. And this was a fairly nice move here. So this was an easy move down. Then we had a two-legged pullback. Again, it was really suspect going short in here, even though this is basically a two-legged pullback to the EMA. It's really risky, because at this point, here's your lows across here. At the very least, you're looking at a double bottom right there, and there's just not a whole lot of room, and you see what happens. So you're better off to be thinking, hey, when this comes down here and fails and bounces, I'll get long. And so this was the trade I was waiting on, and it was a nice, easy trade. We didn't get much more than a scalp, but that's all you could get on just about everything today. And we came back up and tested this area again, made a broader double top, got a little bitty doji right here at the top. So if you didn't sell it blindly, you could go short right there. Another nice easy move down. You need to be thinking, hey, I might want to exit right down here, because we bounced every time, and at least be ready to exit if if it starts coming back. And you can see that we tried going higher a bunch of times, but we finally worked a little bit lower, and then we broke below this low and went higher. And that's one thing. Once you recognize you're in a trading range, you can just about buy every new low and sell every new high. And this was a new low for the day. This was a new low for the day. This was a new high for a day. And this was a new low for the day. And this one was a little suspect, because you got to figure after this leg down over here, that if we do break lower, we're probably looking to make a leg, something like that. And you can see that was, coming right off that high. The target was right down here, exactly where these previous lows were, and you can see how hard prices struggled to go lower from there. And all that was a short trap that gave everybody, that trapped everybody. And then look at that big, huge move up. The smart traders were waiting to buy there. So remember these measured moves because they're very, very important as to where prices might be going and what to expect. Now, somebody actually, when we were bouncing down here off of these lows, somebody, asked me, do you think we're going low? And the only clue you really had, I mean, it's hard to say because we could break below here like this right here in reverse and go straight up. You got to figure the rules tell you that if we do break out of the range, the odds are with us. And at this point, the range should be looking more like that right there. But the odds are with us that we traded down into this range, so the odds tell us we're probably going to trade lower, but you can't be getting short down in here off of this stuff. You need a trap or something, and that's what we got right here. So that's why this trade was probably okay, because technically we had lows as low as way down here, and if you get the most touches, they're right along there, and I believe that makes it really close to be able to scalp out there. So, but the trap is the key. And if you look at this, average eye may not notice there, but there's leg one, then a little two-legged correction, and then leg two. And look, it's a perfect measured leg. And so that's what they were gunning at, was that second leg, and they trapped everybody when we broke. We broke above these highs right here and trapped everybody, made a real broad double top, and then sold off. And so then you got to be thinking, you don't know if we're going to bounce down here, so you really got to be careful getting short here and hanging on to the trade. And it did come back, so it would have stopped out any break-even trades or anything unless you gave it more room than that, and that's dangerous to do because we could make a new low here and trade higher and make another leg up like something back over here. So anyway, hopefully you see that. You got to be thinking about your measured legs. And here's something else I want to show you. There was actually a long right here. I don't have that one marked. I'm not sure. But there's a long right here because this is this is a new low. And so this was a fairly nice long. It took it a little while to get going, but it did. And then I had some people that got tricked to the short side. I think I had at least one person told me they got short either here or here and got tricked to the downside. But let me show you something. You got to look at this. There's no real selling in there, so you got to consider that that's maybe leg one. This is another reason to learn how to find these measured moves. You got to figure that's probably leg one, and then there's your pullback. And so leg two is going to go where? Look at there, perfect measured move. And so that's a reason not to get caught here. And then you got a lot of overlap by the time this next one comes. And there is a little bitty tiny bearish bar right there at the high, and you would have got a tick or two out of it, but you got to be thinking we're going to try to make another leg up because there's your measured move. We pretty much took the whole range back in one leg, so you got to figure there's a possibility of another leg, and it could have been it and it failed, but really there's just a couple legs in this next leg. There's leg one, pull back, and leg two, and we basically made a perfect measured move from that. So that's just a little clue, that and all the overlapping bars. And so now you got a double bottom down here with a one tick lower, so you got to figure we may make a higher high here as well, and that's what happened. It's a range day, and that's what they'll do. They'll try to make higher highs and higher lows and set up traps. And so just keep that in mind. Remember, on a range day, you just about can fade every new high and every new low. And this was a new low at one point. This was a new low at one point. This was a new high at one point, because then you had your break above your range. It's a failed breakout pullback. Here's a second entry here, getting back inside the range, and if you draw it across those highs, you can see everything kind of closed back inside there. So that was kind of where where they were finding the resistance when we were trying to come back and test that. And this is always a clue too, when you get these big, this was looking really bullish. And by the time this bar closed, they beat it all the way down. It closed on its low. That's not a good sign. That's a good sign that that's a failed second entry long that trapped people. And it's at the high of the range, so there's a good chance we're coming back down to test this low, and maybe even this low. And that's exactly where prices went. Excuse me. I'm still fighting this cough when I get to talking a lot. But that was pretty much it for the day. And then again, we had this short. And the only thing, and again, this one was suspect, but we did have the short trap, or the long trap that turned into a short. And there's just barely enough room. So if you decided to take that one, it's probably worth it. But once you got past that, it's getting really late in the day. And I try to tell people, if you're not an experienced trader, don't trade after 1 or 2 o'clock in the day, because most of your traders that late in the day are your best traders, your professional traders, and they're smart and they don't make a lot of mistakes and they trip you up a lot. And so unless you're really experienced with the price action, I missed all this right here. I did not take this, because when it hit about 1 o'clock and we were still in this range, I said enough's enough, and I called it a day. Did I hit my goal today? No. Did I make some money today? Yeah. Was I happy with it? No. But I didn't get tricked and have a losing day. I'd rather have a smaller win day and not meet my regular trading goal than to get sucked into a bad trade and lose money late in the afternoon, because once you lose late in the afternoon, there's no making it back because you don't have enough time. And what I really feel bad for is the people that got short right here, and then all they did was suck them into a bad trade, and then look at that rally. And that's why I don't like trading late in the day, because crazy things like that happen. It gets a lot trickier, and you don't have time to make it back. And if you got lucky and got long right there, that's great. But I doubt there were many. I doubt there were very many. What's the word I'm looking for? Inexperienced or new traders that got long right there. In fact, I bet there probably, if any of y'all got long right there, I'd like to know, and I'd like for you to explain why, because I bet most of you didn't. And that's not a cut to anybody. Don't take that the wrong way, but I just know that's a very hard trade to take. What you did have going for you is that that's a very bearish move. We got a lot of overlap. We're at a strong support, and we're way away from the EMA. So that was really the only clue. But I'm going to tell you, I see moves like that late in the day. If this is early in the morning or middle of the day, they almost always come back. But occasionally late in the day, you get these really strange moves. And I don't know why, but we do. And I really think it's because you have a different type of trader trading, and you don't get as much chop and and swing and swings and traps and things like that. They tend to get it moving in one direction and keep it moving in one direction for some reason late in especially the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And so it's just not uncommon to see these big moves like that. But there was a nice short trap here, and that's the biggest reason they started hitting all the stops of all these people that got short. And probably most of these people held on, and they gave it all back again. That'd be my guess. But anyway, somebody's trying to call me. My phone keeps ringing. That's pretty much it for today. But just remember, you got a measured leg here, then a equal measured leg here. You got a measured leg here, so look for another one here. Does it always happen? No, but those are clues. So, until we get up here and test this and get a really good setup, and see, notice how this is lower, that could mean that we're, the market's weaker and we're not going as higher, but the odds are it means that they're trapping shorts to push it on up that last little bit and to run it up here to run the stops and really trap you on the wrong side, so then they can take it down. The smart traders are wanting to get short up here. They don't want to get short down in here. They want to get short up here and ride this thing all the way down, later in the afternoon. And they're the ones driving the market, the institutional traders and so forth. So, were they the ones that drove it up here? Probably so. They just let you guys fight it out, the little guys. and then they try to sell it off. So, but anyway, my phone's ringing off the hook. Somebody wants me. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll